Hi, it's Mike from Apollo here. And once again, I got some thoughts on startups. I have my notes ready to go. And today we're going to talk about four things that are going to make your startup pitch more fundable. Now, the starting point for these insights is actually from recently I was coaching and judging as part of the Startup World Cup. And I actually, wait for it, I reviewed over 400 pitch decks. And actually, this is the first video I've done with the learnings that I got from that. So I'm very excited to share these with you. So four things that are going to really transform how you present your startup. So just a few thoughts here. The reason I'm making this video now, let's start there, is I'm going to be helping the team on the Australian tech competition. And this is a chance for me to give you some tips and tricks, some advice to make your pitch and submission not only better for the competition, but for investors. And actually, my first thing here is just to help you have clarity. I know it could be tempting a little bit to think, oh, another pitch competition. It's like a beauty pageant. It's like speed dating. But I think the best mindset that you can go into something like a competition, a pitch competition, is really that this is a chance for clarity. It's a constraint that makes you be very concise and clear with your audience. I think that's number one, that's good for you, the founder. Number two, good for your customers. And it is also really good for investors and other people around you because you can be really clear in what you're doing. Sometimes it's all about telling too much and overwhelming people. This is the art of being concise. So that's what it's got for you. And I think the big challenge here that I saw in the World Cup was that even though people were pitching their business for funding, they largely talked about product features. It was really interesting, a bit of a mismatch. And what they tended to concentrate on was the value that they created for the user. And very few people looked at the value they captured as a business. And those are very different ideas. So, like pitching product features when you're raising capital is actually a mismatch. There are better forums for you to pitch your features. So, what we'll do now is I'm going to give you four things that I really think almost all companies they're applicable to. And I really want you to think about the difference between creating value for your user and capturing value as a business. Okay, number one is be global from day one. You're probably thinking, Mike, you're always talking a lot about focus and doing one thing. Well, I am talking about one thing, and that's like thinking globally. So, of course, I would say launch in one market to begin, but think about your other market opportunities. Let me give you an example. Let's say you launched in Australia and you were thinking global from day one. You would go and do some work to research the top 10 international markets. Which countries could you launch in next? Then you'd do a little bit of research, maybe a few calls, maybe a few interviews, and then you would sort of priority stack rank them on which markets required the least localization change for you to roll out into. So, for example, if you're in Australia, and flipping into New Zealand or the UK are a less than 10% localization effort, that's a good sign. That's a really, really good sign. So you don't have to be in two markets when you start, but if you're thinking about it already, some really great things will happen in your business. For example, you'll think about requirements in terms of not only your tech, but regulation, data, security, privacy. You'll have thought some of those things through. And this is good for you to have a mid to long-term plan. And it's good for your investor because they're like, this founder has a plan and they've already investigated the next market. That'll give them confidence about where you're going. And the fact that you say, hey, we're going to hit these amazing revenue numbers, which I'm sure you've got in your deck. Well, that's what gives them the confidence that you've got those markets. You've got the rate of localization already identified. So we want to be global from day one. Okay, number two, this one's really big at the moment, technology that is genuinely different and unique. Okay, so everything at the moment is AI powered, AI native, agentic. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. To be honest, the AI thing is not the product on its own. Sure, we would not only hope, but kind of expect to have some AI enablement in your workflows and how you build the app and all of those good things. But really, what I want you to think about are 3 areas inside of your tech where you can be very unique, I would say differentiated, and perhaps there's a patent there as well, okay? And all of those give you an advantage towards your customers and investors as well. Okay, so down the bottom, the hardcore, invisible to most, data and data models. If you have proprietary data that you've pulled together, that would be amazing to pair with some AI, right? But the actual point of difference is the data set, the model. Second layer is the application. Maybe the way you hook in different web services is really unique. Maybe the way you compile, maybe the way you generate, load. There's all sorts of great things you can do inside that application layer. And on the third layer is your user interface, that user experience. So perhaps you develop a really unique way of the interface working, and maybe it's pretty standard in the middle and the back end, but you have created a point of difference. Now, each of these are available to you. You might have a point of difference on the front end and in the middle, and if you're really good, you'll also have one in the back end, in the data model, maybe even a little bit of DevOps or something like that. But my point is this: be different with your technology. And here's the litmus test right now. If you've built a product, I would say just get your product idea and try and see if you can recreate it in 3, 4, 5 prompts in ChatGPT. If you can get pretty close to the outcome, then maybe you haven't really got a point of difference on technology. It is too easy to think of the amazingness of AI as a true point of difference. What I really want you to do is think of those 3 things: data, application, UI, and really separate them and ask yourself, how can we be different, unique, or maybe, as I said, maybe there's a patent there, and do that ChatGPT test. See if you really are different. Okay, that's points 1 and 2. Point number 3. This one's really big for early stage companies that don't have revenue. One of the big challenges that I'm seeing definitely in the last 12, 18 months is now there's really revenue expectations coming in very early in the process. And so if you're an early stage, just launched, and you're trying to raise some money, like we're just in pilot, beta, or maybe not even, no revenue, could be a challenge to raise some money. So this means that you need to open your view of traction to include things like doing a lot of user testing, a lot of user interviews, a lot of user surveys. These are all things that are proxies for learning. And that's really, in the end, that's all a startup is. It's a big learning machine in the beginning. And that learning is going to be your path to creating sustainable traction. So if you don't have revenue and you don't have that hockey stick revenue growth, make sure that you create artifacts and overviews of all the different things you've done, all those customer interactions, which have given you insight and learning about what to build. That is also part of your traction. And you need to lean heavily into that if you haven't got revenue. For example, if you had done a pilot with 1,000 users and had 0 revenue, you want to showcase just all the amazing insights you got from those 1,000 users. And the first one would be, when surveyed, what was the net promoter score of those people and how likely would they be to purchase a copy of a product when it's ready? There you go. Those are proxies for traction, okay? So expand your view of traction. So it's number 3. Number 4, I want to come back to how we started this video, and I talked about the reality that what I saw was a lot of product feature pitches for a business trying to raise money. And I think this comes down to reframing how you talk to a customer versus how you talk to an investor. So most pitch competitions where you pitch your business and look to raise some capital, they are in a business context. So you know what? Tell a business story. Now, business stories are not a list of here are the features we've built and here's what we plan to do over the next 3 months on our backlog. That is all product and features. Good stuff, fun stuff, but that's not really going to, change the game with investors. What you want to talk about are some interesting points. I put here, talk about your momentum, the advantages that you're getting. Another big one, I think really absent in those pitch decks that I mentioned, is founders in their pitch decks talk about we will be X amount of revenue in 3 years, but show no go-to-market roadmap on how they will actually obtain these results. So they just say, we have zero revenue now, and in 3 years, we'll have 5 million. And the first thing any investor's going to be thinking is, well, how are they going to get to that? What is the plan of activities? What segment do they start with? Which market do they start with? What features, what benefits, paid and earned media, all those good things. So you need to show that path. I think more than anything, and one of the questions that I got this week about the Australian Tech Comp was in regards to what's like a winning pitch formula. And the bad news, there's no set formula. The good news is there are some themes that I want to share. And these are two storylines. So I think what I want you to do is see your business as a set of ingredients, and the winning pitch approach is the recipe that you choose to cook. And in this case, there's two ideas that I really love, which are a great place to start. And I want to think in terms of storyline and theme. This is one level above the ingredients. This is the recipe. I think what you want to demonstrate is two classic winning pitches. One is we have been obsessed with a very complex problem. Nobody else has solved it, but we have. That sort of solving a big, complex, tough problem, that's a great story. And then obviously you organize your story to support that. You might open and close with this kind of narrative. Now, the other one that you can try is we've kind of seen the future. So it's like a crystal ball pitch, which is like there's this huge wave, this trend coming, and we've seen it before others, and we've already prepared for it. So we're going to be first to market. We're going to have an advantage. Now, yes, there are some more, but those are two classics, timeless approaches to creating a winning pitch. So what do we got? 4 ways to make your startup pitch fundable. 1, global from day one. 2, tech that's really different. Think bigger about your traction and tell a business story, not just a product story. All right, so do those things. And I think you'll be in a really good place. Hopefully, you're going to sign up for the Australian Tech Comp. How do you do that? oztechcomp.com. I'll have a show in the description and the links and all that good stuff in the comments. So check that out. And make sure that more than anything, that you really switch from talking about the value you create for users to the value you capture in the business when you're trying to raise money. All right, that's it for today. I'll see you next time.